Sounds good.
It does sound good. Hello, folks. Bill and Brian with Energy Rogue. We are here trying to bring the knowledge that we have accumulated over multiple decades, bring it into light and bring it up to date with the energy markets that's happening even as we speak.
I know a lot about sharks.
What do you have when you take the U out of lung?
The U out of lung? Oh, I see what you did there.
Wall Street loves to use confusing terms to make you think only they can do what they do.
Exactly.
So we're going to talk about
Exactly.
energy. We're going to talk about energy. We're going to talk about global trends. We're going to talk about LNG, and more specifically about the U.S. We're going to talk about some of the changes that have happened in the U.S. and what that means for natural gas markets. Because right, wrong, or indifferent, as I often say, my wife hates when I say that. LNG is here to stay, and that means the US natural gas price is going to have an influence and be influenced by global LNG supply, demand, and weather. So we're not only watching US based trends, it is changing to where you could have one variable to watch, which was US weather. Now we have to keep track of Asia markets, European markets, tanker markets. Um, it's a lot. It
So
it's a lot.
let's do a quick primer. Okay. What does LNG stand for?
Liquefied natural gas.
Does the gas come out of the ground liquefied?
No,
No, it does not. So
no.
you have to do a process to it. And what you do is you refrigerate it. So how cold does it have to be for natural gas to become liquid? Well, I'm going to guess because I know what we used when we were doing LNG up in Kansas, and it's about minus 300 degrees.
Isn't that
I think
crazy?
if we went, I think if we went directly to it, it's like minus 305. But I'm not a chemical engineer. I don't even play one on TV. But I have worked for one, and they often remind me that just how much smarter they were than I am. So that means you have to have a plant to be able to do that, to chill the gas down to minus 305 degrees. The best way to do that is at scale. It's very expensive to do if you don't do it at scale. So that's when you hear us talk about LNG plants. We're talking about in terms of the natural gas supply being in BCFs, billion cubic feet per day. These are huge things, and they're cold, but they are mechanical, which means that these plants can break down and will break down
And have
and
broken
do
down.
break down. hmm I mean, Freeport's a very good example.
No matter how
Um,
many times you save the world, it always manages to get back in jeopardy again. I mean,
it's just so frustrating.
And many of
So,
the natural gas traders out there, they think of one word. They think of LNG, Freeport. Freeport is like the Achilles
yeah.
heel because it's been stopped, started, accidents, problems.
So what is
But
interesting, and I learned this when I was working with gas processing plants. The process is the same, but there's multiple vendors who build these plants, and they don't always do things the same, and some are better at it than others.
right,
It's sort of like we all know how a car works, but some cars work better than others, right?
yeah,
So some LNG plants work better than others. Now, the goal of any LNG plant is to have as much uptime as possible and
hmm
safe as environment as possible, and to get be efficient as possible. So
right.
those are the three things they're going for. So when we talk about LNG plants, think about these huge things on hundreds of acres, lots of gas flowing into them. They have to have pipeline capacity. You're not going to, there's nothing you can do. You can't poke a well up to it and it's going to do anything. You got to have pipeline capacity, steady capacity. In other words, it can't be interrupted. And that's what you get when you get an LNG plant. It is a base load demand is how we would put it in the gas business. It burns
And for
gas
size
24
perspective,
7, 365. Oh, look at that. That's a ship.
yeah, this is inside an LNG cargo ship. So for
So let's
reference,
talk about
these
those
are
ships can carry
people.
about 1.5 BCF.
Yeah.
I think they can carry about 1.5 BCF each ship. So let's take a 2 BCF plant. Now it's going to have I can't remember if it's like 20 or 25% loss on the other side. So a 2 BCF plant is going to put out about 1.5 to 1.7 BCF. So basically a ship a day.
So
One
here
ship
are
per
the
day.
different, here's the different sized ships. This
Ships.
is from
Right.
so you have large, which is highlighted, and that holds 3.9 BCF. Or 3.1. I'm sorry, 3.1 BCF, 3.9
There
on
you
an
go.
MBTU. But there are ships that actually hold larger Q Flex and Q Max. Now, we're not going to get into some of the ships and some of the sizes because that gets way deep and we'd be here all day. But what we're going to
Right.
talk about is the massive scale. So when we're talking about a BCF a day or 2 BCF a day and one of those ships, now let's put it back in this perspective. Every day in the United States, we are currently exporting 15 BCF a day, right? So 4, 5, 6 ships, something like that. But what you can see here is that we've kind of topped out, right? And a lot of people are expecting this to stay at the same level. That's not going to be the case. There's idle spare capacity, probably 1 to 2.5 BCF a day. Bear in mind, 1 BCF would move the markets significantly. But what we're going to talk about is if you look, this is an EIA document. This has not been EIA has not updated this in a while, and after Doge, I don't know when this might get
Yeah, exactly.
updated
That
again. But
guy's that guy's at Starbucks right now.
yeah, thanks for breaking everything. So this is a release date of when LNG projects. This is existing under construction in large scale liquefaction facilities. Golden Pass was supposed to be online by second quarter, fourth quarter of last year, and first quarter of 2025. None of that happened. They ran into delays. So, what was published is that they were going to defer it to 2025, but they were going to bring on multiple trains. Now, what's a
Right.
train, Bill?
So what it does is that,
Not a choo
well,
choo.
basically it's not a choo-choo train, but it looks the same way because it's lined linear most of the time.
Right.
And so what they do is that in order to be able to work on these units, in order to get the most efficient way of processing, they'll take 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 trains looking down there, and that's how they'll do it. And so, as you can see on here, each train was worth look is about what about
Point eight,
um,
800,000
is
a
that
day.
okay? 800,000 a day. So
This is BCF a day. This is metric tons per annum.
right,
MTPA. So on a BCF per day, you're looking at 2.39.
right. So that way, if they think something goes wrong with the train, you're still producing out of the other two.
Right. Right.
And when you have to do maintenance, you only take one train down at a time. You don't take down the
Hmm.
whole plant.
Yep.
In the case of Freeport, the reason it all went down is because there was a issue at the loading dock, not necessarily on the trains, and that's what caused the problem there. And therefore, it was not able to unload anything until they got that fixed,
So
and it took
essentially,
a long
we're going
time.
to go from this level up to this level sometime this year. So that is, call it, add in, let's be conservative and say 1.5. They get two out of the three. They get 2 out of the 3 coming. So that is adding 1.5 BCF a day. Well, you may ask yourself a question. What does that really mean? I Okay, those are numbers. This is where we have this tool that actually tells us what that means in terms of exports relative to your total demand. And then we track the supply demand balance versus production and the total supply and total demand. So all of these are variables that drive supply and demand, which will move the price up or down. So keeping track of a lot of these variables is time intensive. It takes a lot of effort to find, well, what does that mean? What we put things in a very simplistic, we track supply right here so you can see where and what the source is. And then we track demand down here. And then we put it all together into a supply demand balance. And then for those that want to dive in deeper, you can get into the interactive charts like this, where you can go and evaluate what we did over history. But you can do the same thing with electric. You can do the same thing with all of those aspects. But all this fits within Rogue Radar, which is only $89 a month. And you get with that 2 PDF reports every single week, plus a video that goes into a deep dive of technicals and fundamentals. And there's actually 2 of those videos. This comes out every week. So 2 PDFs, 2 videos, and access to this dashboard, which covers technicals, fundamentals, weather, economic analysis, and you get the same analysis on crude oil along with sentiment of where the news is. What are people saying? For instance, uh, the market sentiment today was bearish. So these are sentiments and these are factors that come into play. And it's part of the reason when you look at one of these variables, it's important to watch. But when you look at all the variables together, it's going to give you a more comprehensive view of the marketplace. So when we're talking about adding Golden Pass, we're going to go from here and say add 1.5 BCF a day. That is going to increase things significantly. And the reason I say significantly is because right now, our supply demand balance is 3.6. 3-year average is 6.63. So that means we are actually in a very bullish supply and demand balance, right?
So that's right. And so the other thing you have to remember is that when you hear the term LNG, you need to think export. We do not import. Well, we import just a tiny amount of LNG up in the Northeast, but all 99% of the LNG that we produce goes overseas, either to Europe or to Asia. And so when you talk about LNG, you're you're talking, yeah, and that's right, NGLs. It's natural gas liquids as opposed to liquid natural gas. That seems backwards, doesn't it? Um,
I
so
don't know
you're
why
talking
the
about
industry
exports, and
chose to
so
use confusing terms. You just transpose a couple letters and you get a completely different meaning.
that's right. So that means it's exports. So what that means is what Brian showed you earlier is we're exporting 15 BCF a day. In addition to that, we are exporting to Mexico roughly, is it still around 6 BCF, Brian?
Let's find out. It is right now 6.7.
That's right. Oh, almost 7.
Yeah.
So that means that. So that means 20. When we're at 105 production, we're exporting just roughly 22 BCF a day. Um, what that means is that 20% of the natural gas in the U.S. is going international, going away. And so what that means is for fifth day, 100% of the natural gas production in the United States is for export. That's a
So what that
significant
means
number.
is that there is a greater relationship to international prices. And what that
Right. It's
also
become a
means,
global commodity.
is now you got to get into thinking about, well, what are the paths that they take? A lot of the LNG comes out of the Gulf Coast and heads over to Europe. Some of it comes down through the Panama Canal and over to Asia. And there is currently Canada is opening up LNG Canada, which is going to Asia. And there's something else brewing up in this. What is this little thing up here? That's a little bitty
That's the
tiny
Bering Sea.
piece. That's the
Right.
tiny piece of the US, right? Which
Yeah.
produces
There's
a
a
lot
whole
of crude oil and a lot of natural gas, right?
right. And there's talk of an LNG facility going into Alaska, and and it'll be a 3 BC. What's on the plans is a 3 BCF a day, but all that gas will come out of Purdue Bay.
Right. And so
So
here's where we want to take it. LNG demand globally is growing. However, there is LNG export capacity that has to be built. And we just talked about Golden Pass. I mean, these are, when did they start Golden Pass? 5, 6, 7 years ago? Something like that.
oh yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
been quite the
let's
ordeal.
see. Let's see if they talk
I
about,
don't think
and
they
it's
put it on
y-
there.
yeah. But then you can also look, there are multiple that are approved, such as Cameron Train 4. Every train has to be approved, not just the facility, the train. So then you
Right.
have Magnolia, Lake Charles. This is an older document, and again, because of Doge, I don't know if it's going to be updated or not. But
What
I
about
I don't think
what is it? What
they've
is it?
updated it.
We have that as well, don't we?
What's that? Yes, we
We have our
do.
chart
We
we have our chart based on that document, if I remember right.
based on that document right here, and it's incorrect because this jump up is in mid 2025. So because of project delays, a lot of that goes over here. So, so essentially, we're going to stair step from about right here to 20 BCF a day. Now add in your 7 to Mexico, and yes, this is on Rogue Edge. Which again, if you go to energyrogue.com, you click the buttons, you will end up here. And just to give you a reference, Rogue Radar is only $89 a month. It saves you 30 hours a week of research. Rogue Edge allows you to get in deep into some of these charts and actually do some analysis. And we have 150 charts on supply, demand, imports, exports, storage stocks for natural gas, NGLs, crude oil, refined products, electricity, rigs, LNG, and so much more. Anything you want to know about the industry. And besides
We
that,
still got that meat lover's pizza in the trunk.
so Um, so yeah, that's so anyway, would love to see inside. We have membership around the globe, would love to see inside. But if the energy markets matter to you and matter to your business, and I say energy because we cover crude oil, natural gas, liquids, electric, refined products, and we have customers in each one of those that are just loving what they're receiving with Rogue Radar and Rogue Edge. So,
You were serious about that?
Yes, very
Most
serious about it.
valuable commodity I know of is information.
very true. Very true.
There you go.
So anyway, LNG is shifting, it's changing, and to land the plane, we are talking about a massive shift, a BCF to 2 BCF. And right now, there's probably a 1.5 to 2.5 of idle capacity. Now, if you look at the numbers, we're pretty much right on top of our operational capacity, but they can overrun that. So,
Well,
so
and also remember that any one time you could have a BCF out in maintenance.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So that's what we're looking at is about a B.5 to 2.5 BCF a day, and then you add in Golden Pass. That could be another B to 2.5. So you're talking about a net effect of +3 on the demand side to +5. That is going to be a
Right.
massive shift, and these markets are going to get even more interconnected with international markets. So, listen, hopefully, this has helped demystify some of LNG, and part of the energy transition around the globe is moving away from coal over to natural gas because it is better for the environment. There are lower emissions. And with the portability of LNG, it's becoming more economic and available around the globe. And there are three main countries to look at in terms of LNG: Qatar, Australia, and the US. Those are the three main sources of LNG production.
Right.
However, there is some in a lot of different countries. Yeah.
Right.
So, as Forrest Gump says, that's all I got to say about that.
There you go. And as we try to end everything else, hey, listen.
Be excellent to each other.
Absolutely. And share your knowledge, pass it on. And if you've learned something, drop us a like. If you have a question, you want to discuss something, drop it in the comments, but let us know how we're doing and would love to see inside. If energy markets matter to you, then come join us because it is a very, very low investment for investment grade analysis that will save you time and research on supply, demand, imports, exports, storage, fundamentals, and technicals for natural gas, crude oil, refined products, natural gas liquids, electricity. I forgot that one. Yeah.
That's right.
So, so anyway,
Don't
well,
forget that.
yep, don't forget that. So listen, folks, thanks so much. Thanks for tuning in. If you got any questions, let us know. And I hope you have a fantastic day. And Bill, any parting words of wisdom?
Nope. Listen, folks, you just have out there and have a good day. And just remember when you sign up for Energy
We're
Road,
two dudes setting out with a common goal.
That is right. That is
and that
right.
is to make you smarter and richer.
Yep. Yep. That's our goal. Well, thanks so much, folks. And we will see you next week.